We've got Coal and Power Minister Piyush Goyal, who joins in live from New Delhi. Congratulations, sir, on what many are calling a balanced and a growth-oriented budget. So far as your ministry is concerned, coal and power, two crucial sectors really to reignite the sluggish economy. Are you happy with the steps taken in this budget?
Yes, this budget, in fact, is the first time a budget has impacted 125 crore Indians. Every Indian has something in it for him. In that sense, very aptly described as a sabka budget, sabka labh. There is something in it for everybody, particularly the power sector, which has been a commitment, a promise that Prime Minister Modi made to the people of India in terms of delivering 24/7 affordable quality power to every home, to every industry, to every factory, every store in the country, also providing adequate power to the farmers in the country. This commitment, now I can see very clearly the roadmap ahead getting fulfilled within the term of this government. By 2020, the 300 million people in India who are energy deprived, the nearly 400 or 500 million people of India who get energy sporadically, who have to pay very large amounts of money for their energy. All of these people can have a ray of hope. We'll see in the days forward cheaper power, adequate power, quality power, freedom to choose their supplier of power. I see this budget as a landmark, growth-oriented budget for the power and coal and renewable energy sector. Renewable energy will also impact the environment. Effectively, a very holistic and visionary budget.
Let me ask you a few things on which, I've been left wondering. Let's talk about the 4 new ultra mega power projects. Everybody seems to be talking about it. From what we heard today, they will be based on the plug and play model, which the government hopes will then be extended to rails and ports. Just out of interest, I'm wondering how this model works exactly.
Basically, what has happened in the past is that UMPPs were bid out, but the next steps were left entirely at the hands of the private sector, the winner of the bid, and it was his funeral if he was not able to get land, if he was not able to get forests and environment clearance, if the water was not available. This government believes in hand-holding the winners of the projects. We believe it is incumbent on the government to support the private sector or whoever is the winner of the bids to get the environment forest clearances, to interact with the state government and get land, to ensure that coal is adequately available and the evacuation and transportation of coal to the power plant, to ensure that funding requirements are met from the system. If any support is required, we will now have an infrastructure trust which will not only leverage the central government's contribution, the public sector undertakings contribution, but can also attract international investors to participate in it. The holistic planning is the hallmark of this government, and we will support these UMPPs not only with a robust framework to operate in, but also to implement the projects in time and ensure that power flows to the people of India.
Well, just to understand that the carbon tax which the finance minister has proposed, how exactly will it be implemented? Would you be looking at increasing tariff, or it's only the coal producers who will have to bear the burden?
Well, the coal producers will have to pay 100 rupees more. So effectively, Finance Minister Jaitley, in a short span of 9 months, has increased it from 50 to 100 in July last year and 100 to 200 in this budget. I compliment Prime Minister Modi and FM Jaitley for their visionary thinking that this small increase will hardly have any impact on the tariffs, particularly considering the fact that we are bringing down tariffs by honest auction of the coal blocks, by rationalizing the freight and the transportation of coal, by increasing the plant load factor, by providing adequate fuel and bringing down fixed cost of power. All of these measures are bringing down power costs. But a small increase of 100 rupees translates to a 6 paisa burden on the power tariff against the much larger savings that we are already getting into the system. This 6 paisa will provide nearly 30,000 crores annually in about 3 or 4 years' time. Even for the current year, I am looking at this providing nearly 14,000 crores, which will help us to give a renewed thrust to renewable energy, to the Namami Ganga movement, both of which are an article of faith with this government, because we believe environment is our prime concern. We want to leave behind a clean and green planet for the next generation. And this fund will help us kickstart our ambitious target of 1,75,000 megawatt of renewable energy production in this country.
Mr. Goyal, I want to also talk about something that's come as a bit of a disappointment to quite a few in the market. The government's flagship program, Make in India. There was a lot of buzz around it, but we haven't really seen any solid announcement to push and revive manufacturing, at least in the budget. Is that something you think is, a bit of a disappointment?
Madam, Make in India is a concept. Now, there is no such thing like this I will do to Make in India. You have to basically look at what is the big picture in this budget. He has promised to come out with a regulation that provides ease of business. Now, moment it's easier to set up a business, just like it is in many parts of the world, in Europe, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, where one can set up business sitting in his home on the computer. Now, he's bringing 16 or 18 regulations into one new framework where it will become extremely easy to kickstart a business, and new bankruptcy laws which will make it easy for banks to recover their money or even to shut down a business. He's at the same time ensuring, like we did in the UMPP, the plug-and-play system, that environmental clearances, land acquisition, we are bringing in changes to the land acquisition law so that farmers can benefit as a part of rural infrastructure growth, as a part of greater incomes from their very often non-yielding land holdings. All the effort in the budget has been to provide the enabling framework, ease of business, simpler taxation, a predictable and stable framework, regulatory framework for people to operate in. Ultimately, manufacturing in India has suffered over the years for lack of all this. And when you couple that with the controlled inflation, which should now translate into lower interest costs, India has the greatest comparative and competitive advantage in the Committee of Nations to become the new emerging hub of manufacturing.
All right, Mr. Goyal, we leave it at that. Thank you so much for taking time out for us. Piyush Goyal there talking to us about how one should really be focusing on the big picture when it comes to Budget 2015.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.